Ladies all around the world, listen up. We're looking for you. The time has come to be unstoppable together. The danger of executive women is worrying we're not enough, obsessed with perfection, failing to perform. You're in the right place. It's now time to be unstoppable together with Connie Fife. She was the director of the United States Chamber of Commerce and CEO of the Girl Scouts. Sit down, squat down, or lie down. It's time for Up or Out, all business with Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva and chair of the Fife Group, helping women in leadership achieve excellence and be unstoppable together.
Hey, it's Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva, and today I have another fantastic guest on the show today. He is Will Roberts. He's a professional actor, a professional cowboy, and you know how I like cowboys.
Yeah.
And he's also a former Cirque du Soleil act. I saw Cirque du Soleil and I was like, oh, actually I just stayed in Vegas recently with one of the Cirque du Soleil actors, and she had ropes around her house and she's like, do you want to try? I was like, no, I'll wait. I'm okay. I don't need to do that. But welcome to the show, Will Roberts. Will, you have such a fantastic background.
Well, I guess I appreciate that because, now being a little older, I am, that phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. Now I'm a jack of all trades and maybe a master of a couple of them. So I can walk my way around things. But I want to ask you, the person that you said Cirque du Soleil, they had ropes around?
She had were pieces of ropes that she had used over the years, and she had them like hanging as decorations.
That's cool, like a bus stop, like on a bus thing.
Yes. It was an Airbnb.
Oh.
And I thought, let me try that. And she was adorable, a sweetheart.
Okay.
I loved staying there with her. Really, really did enjoy it. But she was telling me all about Cirque du Soleil and how things work. And she was from Russia.
Oh, wow.
And what was interesting, it wasn't until the day I was leaving, she had on her wall, different things she's done and places she's been. Well,
Right.
Here she was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, at the time that I was the director there of the Chamber of Commerce. And we had met before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right?
You get around.
Oh, baby, I get around.
That's another show.
That's right. We keep that to another show. So I want to thank you for being here on Up or Out. And I know you have a lot of things going on. It sounds like you're walking and chewing gum at the same time. Yeah. So I was stalking you today a bit. So let's see, a recent movie was The Killer.
Yeah, The Killer on Netflix. By the way, stalker is only a term you can use if you're caught and you go to jail. Otherwise, it's an admirer, right? Yeah.
Okay. Right. I was admiring you today.
You do have an interview. So, So the recent film that I have out is called The Killer, or in Brazil, it's called O Matador, which basically means the killer. And I play the gringo, which it was on many levels was interesting because I was in Brazil, Pernambuco, Brazil. If you know anything about Brazil, you know that that's not Rio. Okay.
No.
It's like the other end of the animal. And they're great people. It was wonderful, but 40-something days in that area. And we shot the film. Again, it is a Portuguese Netflix film. It is the first Netflix film shot in Brazil. And I am the only, American that was in the film. So basically, I played the gringo, which, by the way, means anybody that's foreign outside of Brazil. So because normally gringo might mean that is a white person,
right?
But a gringo in Brazil is anybody who isn't Brazilian.
Oh, okay.
So there it is. So I grew my beard, but originally what happened was when I got the film was I do a lot of stuff in my office, and you can see my stuff here. Yeah. But I did a lot of searching, and I do a lot of searching for films, and I get contacted a lot because I am literally, which I'm sure will come up, I'm a Guinness World Book of Records gun spinner.
Yes.
Gun shooters. I'm one of the top trick ropers, whip artists. And I got contacted by the film 2 years previously, and the director, or his assistant, said, we need you to train the top actors to do spinning guns. I'm like, that's fine.
Okay.
So Yeah, we kind of made a deal. But I have this thing when I get in that situation with cowboy stuff and films that I said, the only way I'll do it is if the director looks at my reel and casts me. And she said, well, and he goes, well, what if I don't like your stuff? I'm like, well, you don't have me. And I'm pretty confident that I'm a pretty good actor. Yeah. So he looked at it and he goes, oh my gosh, read this. And I was going to have Danny Travato, Machete.
Not sure.
The Hispanic gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
Taco places.
Yes.
And, that guy,
Yeah, that guy.
He was supposed to be Gringo. And they were trying to work it out. Well, the director said, do this reading for me and do this with your stuff and then send it to me. And I sent it to him and he goes, boom, I'm not casting him. I'm casting you. I'm like, cool. Yeah. So I grew a beard. I looked pretty, torn up.
Pretty scruffy there. Yeah. I was looking at the clips. I was like, okay, this doesn't look like this guy right now.
No, and that's a good thing. Because in my career, that's the thing I believe that I've always tried to strive for is that, obviously I can play someone's dad.
Right.
But in this industry, it's a very difficult industry because you walk through the door, and if you walk through 3 doors in a row looking the same way in Hollywood, that's what they'll see you as. And now, funny, lo and behold, fast forward, because I've been doing this for 37 years.
Right.
Now it's really weird because the first part of my career, I was a physical comedian. And I did a lot of musical stuff. I did Singing in the Rain, Cosmo Brown's role, a lot of silly stuff. I was always falling over things. Now, all I get is the roles where I kill people with weapons.
Well, that's really interesting because I was looking at your resume. I mean, you really have a number of shows to your credit. And I mean, such a variety. You went from being a good guy to a bad guy to a funny guy. Yeah. And I love the commercial, the hose commercial. And I actually seen that recently. And I was like, that's him.
That's funny. Yeah, we shot that. It was funny. The guy who did that, his name is Joel Ackerman. And he is the guy who made the commercial. He makes all viral commercials. He's the guy who made the Poopery commercial with the young lady on the toilet, and it's British. Oh, yeah. And it's an item that you put in so it doesn't smell funny, which is right. I'm totally against saying all those things I just said. Anyway, it's 38 million.
Yeah.
38 million.
It got people's attention, right?
Oh, it did. And he contacted me and he said, you know what? I want you to do something. Can you take this hose and do you think you can spin it? Because apparently you're the best there is with a rope. Right. Like, yeah. So I did it and I did some things and we did it. And that, in my opinion, is probably one of the best pieces for people to see my style of comedy.
Okay.
Plus we got some cowboy stuff in there.
Yeah, I got cowboy stuff in there. I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It was really good. You also do voiceovers.
I do. I'm sitting here in my studio right now, along with the fact that I have a syndicated radio show called actingupradio.com for actors and performers. Right. And I'm also a political and social humorist because of the cowboy spin on it. I pretty much started this about, almost 20 years ago. I was working for Fox Kids. And I was a Fox Kids Club host on air. So I was running around doing all this cool stuff. And a show came up at a very large repertory theater. Actually, the show before the one, which was Singing in the Rain. And I did it. Well, the next season they said, there's a show called Will Rogers Follies. Do you know it? I'm like, yeah. And I always loved Will Rogers' philosophy. Right. We want you to have the station do a big thing and have you, play Will. I'm like, cool. It literally changed my life. I literally moved from the Santa Cruz, Monterey area and the show and the station and moved to Arizona with my now wife. And I stalked her, but it stalking because I didn't get caught. Anyway, and that all worked out. But it wound up launching my cowboy career. And now I am a spokesperson for National Day of the Cowboy. I've got the Guinness World Book of Records, the guns and ropes. I'm actually about to try to break another record with ropes.
Okay.
And, so a little bit.
I was going to ask you more about that. So you're a world record holder. So it looks like you're pretty darn good at roping and gunslinging.
When you say gunslinging, I'm a gun handler. Like if you watch in the Killer, there's a scene where I get the gun and I spin the gun. So it's handling real guns. And they are, and I can do a bunch of shots and different things and over my shoulder.
So you're doing real guns while you're doing the shows? I mean, they're actual.
Yeah, they're Ruger Vaquero. They're called
bullet free. I'm assuming.
Of course, yeah. People always ask me that. I go, they say, "Is that thing loaded?" I go, "Well, I'm not really sure." But you know what? It's changed vastly because I did a show in Arizona recently with my guns and gun spinning, and much to my surprise, it was a very large church in Arizona. So I don't know if you can get more conservative
than that.
And afterwards, several people came up and went, "That was amazing, but you really scared us with the guns." I'm like, there's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. Interesting.
Yeah. So you said you're going after a new world record. So could you share it?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a world record, and I don't know why there's only 10, but I have a 100-foot big loop, and it's 100 feet of rope. And I did it in Cirque du Soleil, 2 shows a night, 5 days a week, 1,300 shows. The show was called Viva Elvis, not Elvis. Love Elvis. Thank you very much. And I was on top of a 57 Cadillac, pink.
Okay. Of course, pink.
And had to spin a 100-foot big loop. And it becomes this probably a 30-foot in circumference round thing.
Right.
And I spun it basically around the car. Well, I had this idea because there's a picture of Will Rogers in the Ziegfeld Follies spinning a rope around a lot of showgirls. Right. And I had done that before. So I contacted Guinness because, we have an open relationship with World Records. Yeah. And I have that one. And they said, "Oh, we'd love you to try to do that. And what do you think you're going to do?" So my attempt is going to be 35 to 50 people inside the rope while I'm spinning it. So I'm going to try that. I'm not sure exactly when because they're extremely difficult to – there's 5 pages of what you have to do in order to get the record. What's the rope made of? Send us a sample, blah, 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 and they're in England.
Oh, so how often do you practice? Just the roping?
I don't – well, every once in a while I'll go out and I'm doing something. I've got obviously ropes around everywhere. And I will grab my rope and I'll start spinning it. But I'm at a point and, quite honestly, when you do a show like Cirque du Soleil, I before that, I traveled probably about 150 times around the world to make my one-man style Will Rogers show.
Okay.
We're just making up a lot of ad-lib stuff out of newspapers.
Okay.
And from there – when I got in Cirque du Soleil, it kind of solidified the fact that I didn't really need to practice anymore unless I wanted to try something new. I pick up my rope every once in a while. I've got a roping dummy out in back of my house.
Okay.
And I'll rope off it and so on. But I try a couple of times a week to grab it. And I have a channel. I have a channel called howtocowboytricks.com, where a Vimeo channel that lets people, if they want to learn how to do it. I actually have a lot of people, guns,
really, to follow it.
Ropes, whips, and they can get lessons. It's all lessons.
Yeah, and that you do it. Wow. So, you're really amazing, everything that you have going on. There was one thing I've seen on your page. I'm really curious to ask you about your Klout score. Okay.
Well, one of the other things that I'm really big on is social media. I love social media.
Okay.
I love the good parts of social media.
Yes.
Not the part that, everybody's scouring it for the next news bit, which is whatever. But what I love about it is the fact that we can communicate with each other. I have found many, many people on my show, and I'm sure you have, through social media. And in addition, as an actor or a business person, it is a way for you to be able to lock in and really follow and like-minded people and have a good time. One of the things I did, I don't even know if Klout exists anymore. I know that back in about 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, I know, like last year, that's why I was curious. Probably 2 years ago, my agent and we were submitting for another book, and that was the thing that they had asked me about my Klout score. Now, at that time, I actually didn't know what Klout score was. I didn't know. Most people don't, and so of course I follow it now, and I really watch and maintain mine as well. So I was just really curious to see that it was on your page. So you don't think it's as relevant now? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that I have not really kept up to speed with Klout, but I will tell you that one of the conversations I have on Acting Up Radio all the time is branding and social media. And surprisingly enough, I mean, I'm really good at it, but surprisingly enough, I'll get on set and I'll talk to a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old and they'll go, oh, take a picture. Okay. Where's your Instagram? Oh, I don't have that. Well, how about you? I only have like 3-4 followers.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I
So
know.
the thing is that they don't understand that one, acting as a business,
Yeah.
like anything else,
Right.
because you can't just, the days of sitting on a bar stool in West Hollywood at a soda fountain with your legs out, I couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh, it
I mean,
was
you're
wrong.
you're an entrepreneur. That's a. I mean,
That's it.
you're a serial entrepreneur. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a.
Well, that
That's a.
sounds wrong.
I,
Cereal.
I know people say that. I was like, I'm just saying, like, a serial entrepreneur. That just sounds like a
It
serial
doesn't
killer. I
sound
don't
right.
like.
Yeah.
I
Sounds
really
like I
don't. I
stalk
really don't
people
like it. Yeah,
like
they're
you.
stuck.
Like you.
What kind of show is this?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I don't care what you show.
But you are about the millennials. My husband and I went to an event. It was in Hollywood, and it was a storytellers. And when we go to events together, because we're both networking, so he goes his way, I go my way, and we give that evil eye across the room, like, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And so he sat at a table with these two young millennials. So here's my husband, who still works in corporate, on top of it, and he knows this much about social media, very little. And so he kept asking him, "So what do you do?" And they're like, we're on Instagram. And he's like, "Oh." And then he'd ask him another question. So tell me more about that. And they're like, "Oh, well, we put pictures up," and like he has no clue what Instagram even is, my husband, right? And he kept asking him questions and asking them questions. And he finally said, "Tell me how you make money."
Yeah, well, there's the biggie. Yeah, but most
That's-
people in social media don't have that insight.
No, well, it turns out these two young guys, one 21 and 22, and they were millionaires because they're posting on Instagram, and people are paying them to post for them on Instagram, and this is what they do.
Yeah, they're social influencers. And,
Yes.
I get it. And one thing I was going to tell you about the entertainment industry that has changed vastly because of social media is there are times where I have gone to auditions and they simply said, "What's your following?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got this and that." And they go, "Wow, that's good."
Yeah.
And it has been a determining factor of whether or not you get the role. Because when you think about it, let's say you're producing something.
Right.
And you've got the director, casting directors, the people, whatever. When you have a choice between two actors that are the same caliber,
Right.
and did a great read at both the things, who are you going to pick? The one that has 1 million followers or the one that has 4?
Right.
You're most likely going to grab this because you just got like-minded people that love you, that will, watch whatever you do. I've got on Instagram, you don't mind if I say it, do you?
No.
Oh, so it's Will Roberts Actor.
Mm-hmm.
If you go Instagram.com/Will Roberts Actor, I've got like 61,000, and I get an average of about 400 to 700 or 800 likes when I put something out.
Yeah.
But I'm doing stuff. This is the key of social media that people don't get, and it takes time.
Yes.
Content.
It's content.
It's engaging. I have people that work for me that engage with other people, and I go, "I want this hashtag," and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they really, we work together because it is part of the equation in the modern day success.
Well, we get the same thing with speaking. Whenever I put speaking proposals, they ask that question right on there. How many followers do you have?
That's right.
LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, they ask right up front, how many followers do you have? And just like you, I do have someone that does that for me because it is time. It
is
really
time. I do a lot of my own, but I have some part of it that I have a company that I've known for some time, and they were a startup, and I'm like, "I'll help you out."
Yeah.
And they do good on, going to other people and seeing what I like, and I tell them. But, I believe this is where the word consultant, because I've consulted on many different levels, whether it was internet. I also am a keynote speaker and other different things that I do. And I use the term insultant because what happens is that most consultants get out there, spend X amount of months with you, do stuff for you, social media. And then after you go, "You know what, we're good. We can't really afford it." Then you go, "I don't know what to do now," because they didn't educate you. So I call them insultants. Yeah. So nowadays, if you don't know some of that social media stuff, you're going to be stuck at some point going nowhere.
Oh, you got to know. Actually, I learned that lesson a couple of years ago. I had a team and I was really relying on them to do it. But for a couple of lessons learned, one was I was not connected with my people.
Oh,
I was disconnected. And
right.
secondly, when my social media person left, I had no clue what to do.
That's right.
So
It's kind of like
now,
the website stuff. It's like, I used to do
yeah,
SEO and website stuff,
yeah.
and people would go, well, how come no one's coming there? Well, you don't put anything on there updating.
Yeah.
You don't do, and there's nothing there. Well, I got all my products. Yeah. This is like being in Siberia and you decided to put up a lemonade.
It's content. Like you said,
Come on.
content is king, content is
Content is
queen.
king. That's right.
You need to put it out there. I mean, doing a podcast, I do 2 podcasts now.
Yeah.
I have awards for hosting. I have awards for the shows and the guests that we have on. And it's all content. And then we take that, it becomes a newsletter. It becomes blogs.
A lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's paid off. I mean,
It's what you do.
Right. And it's what you do. Exactly.
I love the fact that you have your studio in your home. Like
I do.
me. That's very cool. Allows us to, to do what we do. I have a 3 and a 7-year-old, so sometimes it's difficult. I have to wait if I'm doing voiceovers, and I'm all,
Yeah. And I have another room with 2 cameras, black screen, green screen.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I used to have an outside office exterior office when I was back in Pennsylvania studio. And then when we moved out here, it was like, let's just get a place big enough that I'll just work from home. So that's what we've been doing.
It can be fun.
It can be fun. It can be fun, but some days you need to just still get out, and even if you just go to Starbucks and say hi to somebody.
That's very funny you say that, because my wife works as a counselor at a college, which she recently just got this great job. And I tell her, I go to LA back and forth all the time, but sometimes I'll be sitting in my office, and I love the fact that I can come in, I can do demos or read for a voiceover, or I can go shoot something, an audition, and not leave anywhere. But every once in a while I go, you know what? I'll come to LA instead, because I can't stand it. Like,
I know, right? I know what you're saying. I'm meeting somebody out later this afternoon. She's like, "Oh, I could come to your place." No, I'll come to you.
No. Let's go to Starbucks. I like that. When I leave, I smell like coffee everywhere. Please.
Yeah. We go to Starbucks. They know who you are. So I have a couple questions for you. So I want you to finish this sentence. Actually, I am a leader because
I listen to people and allow them to speak their passion.
My favorite success quote is,
behind every great man is a woman in front of him with his car keys and directions so he doesn't get lost. That's mine. And I'll tell you, my wife is amazing.
Good. Never, ever have I ever
stuck with ever or never, because it never will get you anywhere.
Got it. Perfect. So what's the moment that was life-changing for you?
Well, I have to tell you, I've had a couple of really neat peaks, and I do believe I'm up for one soon. But originally getting the Fox Kids Club host where I was at was a dream of mine. And it was cool because for 5 days a week, I got a chance to be creative. I shot with my crew, and it did like wacky, cool stuff. And I love that. And then getting into Cirque du Soleil was another amazing place to be.
Yeah.
And, there are little ones little things that happen all the time. I don't think there's any one thing. I am pretty lucky my wife married me, because she's amazing. And I have 2 great little kids, which as an actor, a performer, I'm sure some of your people out there will understand this, is that, I waited. People go, oh, I'm 53. People go, wow, you have a 3 and a 7-year-old? And they give me that look, and I go, yeah, I know. I waited, and they go, why? And I went, well, 2 reasons. Number one, I just want to say that I wanted to have 2 good things in place. One, a good job, and number 2, all my teeth. One of them worked out, and I don't smile really big. And the other thing is that I'm just going to be the first to say it. I told you one of my favorite quotes, and that is, I just think guys are a mess. So for a guy to say, I'm going to have a kid, and this is my opinion, have a kid, especially in the entertainment industry, because it is a lifelong work in progress.
Yes.
To go out and say, look, I'm going to, do this and that. you can't do that if you're in your, 18, 20s, even 30s, unless somehow you got either a series, you did something.
Right.
That's another reason why I became a jack of all trades, is because I wanted to stay in the same industry, and I'm a hideous waiter. I'm horrible. So I couldn't do a waiting job because I'm way too unorganized. People love me, but for the wrong reason. I worked at a restaurant once, a really nice one.
Yeah.
About a week into it, the guy that owned it, when I was started as a busboy, he goes,
Right.
look, I want you to be a waiter. I said, oh, good. A week into it, he goes, everybody loves you. But the problem is, they love you because of the conversation, not because you're getting the food on time. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
I'm supposed to do that too?
I'm supposed, what's going on? I can juggle the food. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm supposed to do that too.
Yeah.
So you've done so many things. And it sounds like you have many more things that you would like to do. So will you ever be satisfied and say, I'm done?
I would say no.
Okay.
And I want to say that I would say I'm a relatively well squared away guy. And I mean that from a mental and physical standpoint. But, if you don't mind me getting a little too deep here, but I grew up in Chicago, and this is the really weird stuff, but my mother was married like 4 times.
Okay.
A lot of crazy, interesting
Yeah.
stuff in the family. And no one in my family had done anything. And I am literally like the blonde woman in the Addams Family. Seriously. And, not everybody, actually my mother, my father, my oldest brother, they're all gone. They passed on.
Okay.
But a lot of that is neglect, and they didn't do anything.
Okay.
And so it's been a constant thing for me to, if I was to say anything to your listeners, I would say, look, I know it's easy to give up, but you have to remember, or you have to think every time you want to give up, how important the thing that you are trying to do is to you. If it's not important, then find something that is important and passionate to you, because otherwise it's not going to work. If you're someone that likes to do a billion things like I am, make sure that you do it in one sector of something. Like you can depend on me to give you something entertaining. I was just sitting here getting ready for the show, and I'm also a professional magician. And so as I was doing this, I was thinking to myself, I'm just going to play with my card. But the point I want to say, I'm a member of the Magic Castle. And the point is that you got to figure out what
your kids must enjoy hanging out with Dad. Let me just entertain you before you go to bed.
What's funny is that we moved to the new block here in Winchester, California, or Temecula, and I also spent probably a good 20 years. I still do it. I'm a professional clown, and I'm actually one of the fastest balloon artists. I can do and they're like, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm driving down the street and someone goes, "Hey, I understand that you're like a cowboy and you're like a balloon and a clown.
Yeah, come to my child's birthday party."
Oh man, how did that get out? So obviously
the kids are going to school. My dad's a clown.
my dad's a cowboy, clown, and a balloon artist and a magician. What's next? Yeah.
And he climbs around these ropes. Yeah, that's right. What's that? So what is next for you? So what's next?
Well, right now I'm really solely focusing on a lot of my television and movie stuff. I do a fair amount of commercials. Last year I did an Applebee's commercial as a rodeo clown, because I do that a lot. I went, I did one for, Applebee's, Audi, another rodeo clown. I tend to work a lot in Hollywood because of my special skills, because of my ropes, my guns, the whips, the clown.
And you've got a very special niche area.
Yeah. And so when they're going, "Hey, we're looking for this person," I walk in the room. It's funny. I walked into the last audition. It was for Jack in the Box. That's something I can't remember. I did Jack in the Box, and I played Jack.
Yeah.
Spun a rope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can see it in my demo, one of my demos. But the interesting thing is I walked into an audition, and this happens now all the time because I've been here for about 5 years. And if it's a cowboy thing, I walk in, and I saw the last place I went, 7 guys. And I walked in, and they went, "Goodbye. See ya. You have Will. You're good." And I'm like, "No, stay. You never know if they weren't fat, skinny, blah, 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 blah."
Right.
Don't leave. And the funny thing is that I've now got my niche of the cowboy thing in place.
Yeah.
So going forward, to answer your question, I've been a normal guy and a comedian and what I do for so many years. Now I'm focusing on sort of, in essence, sort of rebranding, but letting people know that I have those skills available.
Right.
Like I danced for 15 years, so I did a cool Sonus commercial recently, which was all dance, and I'm a quad skater. So, you know, a little bit of everything, because you know what? The more you do, the more you work. Your opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah, I know the opportunities are there. So what's deep in your heart? What is that one thing that you want to drive off into the sunset doing?
Well, you know, overall, and the underlining thing about what I have done for the last 20 years is I told you about, being at Fox Kids and then doing a show called Will Rogers Follies. I did that. And, you know, when I did that, it sort of changed my life a little bit because I got very much into Will Rogers and his philosophy. Yeah. Well, in the course of the last 20 years, because I was a syndicated writer on a lot of like 200 different newspapers, and I did a thing called the Daily Scream, which is a cartoon I have, which, by the way, if you look and see my cartoons, it's all done by 2 apps. I take a picture of myself because that's my thing I've trained.
Right.
Make a weird face, cartoon it, go into another program, make it into a cartoon. So the bottom line is that, I've been a political and social humorist and tried in the last 20 years to really emulate the life of Will Rogers. And that's when I got Cirque du Soleil. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like Will had Ziegfeld Follies. Very thrilled. And I've traveled the world around it. The Rogers family know me. Yeah. Unfortunately, nowadays, it's changed. The Will Rogers philosophy is there, but people are screaming at each other. And, unfortunately, we have fake news and we have people are attacking each other. And I had a conversation with Brian T. Shirley, a good friend of mine, who's a comedian. He said, you're right about what you said earlier. And I said, what's that? He goes, how you said, as a comedian now, we can't go out and be funny because now everything is scrutinized by the general public going, oh, that's not true. That's not, you're missing something. But you're missing something. This is comedy.
Yeah.
So even if you can say it, everybody's calling it fake news, and they're taking it like it is news.
Right.
It's not.
And now you got to be so politically correct. It is crazy. It is insane. So we're almost to our end, but I do have one more question. But you were a bit talking about it there, and believing and understanding. What do you think is the greatest wound today? What is the
greatest
great wound? Yes.
I would say listening and allowing people to have their own, allowing yourself to let it sink in and go, I may not totally agree with you, but we can agree to disagree.
Right.
And be civil. I believe that we have a civil war right now going on, and that's an uncivil war.
We do, whether it's through technology or what, but people forgot that we can agree to disagree.
Yeah, we can't agree to disagree, and the problem, again, the wound of our world is that I just don't believe that we spend enough time listening to people and then seeing what we can do for people.
Right.
Because, if you really sit and listen to people in business, if you're a salesperson, I can sell ice to the Eskimos in water form.
Oh, I've been accused of that. I have been accused of that.
There you go. Well, but the thing is that in reality, if we just listen more, I always say, guys ask me, I don't know why it was when I was younger, because I didn't really have a girlfriend until I was like 19 or 20.
Okay.
But people would always ask me my opinion about their relationships, which is really weird. But I had this sort of like Mahatma Gandhi thing going on that I just had this like theory.
Right.
And the theory that I came up with back then as a kid, and I still hold today, is that, and I say it to guys a lot when they ask me, I go, if you really want to woo a girl or guy, or on your, treat it like it's a first date. And the second thing I want you to remember is this most important thing, and that is this. Every once in a while during this conversation, shut up and listen. Right?
That's
my wife. Ask my wife. My wife is always right. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but, in most cases, I do have to sit back and go, you're kind of right about that.
I let my husband be right sometimes.
Yeah, so does my wife. Yeah.
I say, honey, that was correct. But.
Well, you're a doll. You're a doll.
We got to move on. So how can people find you? How could they learn more about you?
Well, look around the corner. The guy in the street. No, I would say there's a couple places. As an actor, you can go to actorwillroberts.com. That's actorwillroberts.com. As a cowboy, you can go to trickropers.com. That's trickropers.com. In regards to my social media, Twitter, it's Will Roberts Acts, ACTS. As a Instagram, it's Will Roberts Actor. And then I've got Facebook, and you can look at you look at it. Just look up Will Roberts Cowboy.
Will Roberts. I mean, that's all I typed in, and a whole page.
There it is.
Came up when I was Googling it.
Well, I had all my Russian bots do that for me.
Yes. Will Roberts, actor. Put in actor, and that even got
that's good.
Greater hits. Yes.
Good,
yes.
good.
Well, I want to thank you for being here. And again, learn more about Will Roberts. Check out some of his movies on Netflix, and everything else that he's
Amazon.
doing, and Amazon. A lot of things that Will Rogers is doing. But Will, I want to thank you for being here. You've been phenomenal.
I appreciate it, and I really appreciate that you are so easy to talk to.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.
Ladies all around the world, listen up. We're looking for you. The time has come to be unstoppable together. The danger of executive women is worrying we're not enough, obsessed with perfection, failing to perform. You're in the right place. It's now time to be unstoppable together with Connie Fife. She was the director of the United States Chamber of Commerce and CEO of the Girl Scouts. Sit down, squat down, or lie down. It's time for Up or Out, all business with Connie Fife, your unstoppable diva and chair of the Fife Group, helping women in leadership achieve excellence and be unstoppable together.